What's up everyone, Kriddle here with another Diablo 4 video. Last week we had the server slam for Diablo 4. This was our last chance to play before the release on June 6th, and for the most part this will be the release build of the game. We could see some small tweaks, but overall this should be what we can expect. So I wanted to give my final thoughts before release. The first two beta weekends had several issues, from rubber banding, horrible class balance, some rather boring dungeons with a lot of backtracking, things like that. For the server slam, my goal was to see if and how they resolve these issues. During the first two betas, I leveled all 5 classes to 25 and played around with various builds. I came to a similar conclusion of most other Diablo 4 players in that Necromancer, Sorcerer, and Rogue far outperformed Barbarian and Druid. Some say this is because Barbarian and Druid are more gear dependent, which may be true, but we all had access to a lot of legendaries during these betas, and they still felt underpowered. Another reason is because we could not complete the Barbarian and Druid class quests, allowing us to unlock their class features while we could for the other 3 classes. This one I have to agree with, as those features can change a class substantially. So starting off with the server slam, I leveled up my Sorcerer, as that is the class I plan to play at release. For me, the Sorcerer felt the same as before with little issues, and I believe I will stick with that class choice. I will post my planned build in the comments if you're curious, but this could all change as we level past 25 and start seeing more challenging content. Secondly, I wanted to mess around with both Barbarian and Druid to see if they felt any different. Unfortunately, they didn't. Both of these classes are still very underwhelming and need some work. Going through each of the classes, I actually enjoyed playing Necromancer, Rogue, and Sorcerer. I felt powerful when using my abilities, and everything seemed to flow nicely. Barbarian and Druid, on the other hand, felt sluggish and unfun. In addition, for the first 2 betas, there were a lot of complaints about boss mechanics while playing a melee class. Blizzard did say they made some changes to boss mechanics, but for me, I still felt they needed some work. With Vernard, for example, I was still having to chase enemies around as they flew off in random directions, which simply was annoying to say the least. Overall, I feel Barbarian and Druid still need some work in early levels. Sure, they may be balanced and fun at in-game, but it shouldn't be a chore to get them there. As for the rubber banding, that issue seemed to be resolved. I had little to no lag or connection issues. In fact, queue times were non-existent, and that made for a far less frustrating experience when starting out. Hopefully they can maintain this at launch, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I do expect some sort of queue times and some crashes, but the server slam gave me some hope. Lastly, that brings us to the dungeons. Many of the dungeons were remapped to flow better and have less backtracking. From what I saw, they did exactly what they said. Dungeons did flow better, although I did find myself missing a door or hallway here and there, but that was mostly my fault for not paying attention. Now, in my opinion, those changes weren't enough to really fix the overall issue of the dungeons being boring, but my plan is to only do each dungeon once and move on. With over 100 dungeons in the game, there really is no need to spend a lot of time making each one fun to spam over and over ad nauseum. My hope is that after unlocking Nightmare dungeons, the increased difficulty and changes in mechanics will be enough to keep me entertained. Now, there's one more thing I want to talk about, and that is the Ashava fight. For the server slam, we were capped at level 20 and told to defeat Ashava to earn a mount cosmetic, which would carry over to the full release on June 6th. Of course I had to get this. I was able to easily defeat Ashava in previous betas, so I felt confident that I would be able to get this done without much trouble. I was wrong. I tried the Ashava fight on World Tier 2 at level 20 with far less legendaries than I had in the previous betas, and we were only able to get her down to 2/3 remaining life. I was able to drop down to World Tier 1, and it still took us 11 out of the 15-minute timer to defeat her. I'm glad for the challenge and hope to see more of this as we continue into higher levels and tiers. One issue I have with the fight, however, is that it was mostly a Zerg fest. People died, respawned, ran back, hit her a few times, died again, rinse and repeat. There really didn't seem to be much reason to actually follow mechanics, but hopefully World Tier 4 will be a different story. So final thoughts. Diablo 4 is shaping up to be a fantastic addition to the franchise. I was not excited at all about Diablo 4 up until the beta weekends were announced and decided to check them out. After playing each beta, I only got more excited for its release, and now I'm giddy with anticipation. I will be playing on day 1 of early access and would love to have you join me over on Twitch as we push the limits of what this game has to offer. Anyway, I'm Kriddle, and that's it for me. Be sure to bash that like and subscribe button as it helps me a lot. Thanks for watching. Bye!